I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever.
I wouldn't want to be friends down here with a trashy reality star is what I was about to say.
Another quick update, Wendy Williams. So after we did the interview with Wendy Williams here on The Breakfast Club, there was a lot that happened following it.
Y'all won't believe the absolutely shocking revelations about Wendy Williams, Kris Jenner, and Kanye West. Trust me, this tea is scalding hot and it's about to spill everywhere. The drama between these three powerhouses has reached a whole new level of scandalous, and I'm literally shaking just thinking about sharing this with you. From Wendy's fierce battles with Hollywood's most powerful players to Kanye stepping up to reveal what he claims is the shocking truth, things have taken such a dark and twisted turn. But here's what's really making my jaw drop. There are whispers that Kris Jenner, yes, the Kris Jenner, might have played a seriously shady role in Wendy Williams' Guardianship saga. And if that's not chilling enough, there are even more disturbing rumors about possible poisoning. Let's dive into this piping hot mess. First up, let's talk about Wendy versus Hollywood elites. Darling, if there's one thing we know about Wendy Williams, it's that she's never been afraid to come for Hollywood's biggest names. Whether she's spilling scalding tea about the Kardashians or dropping bombshells about industry secrets, our girl Wendy has always kept it real, maybe a little too real for some people's comfort. And Kris Jenner, oh honey, these two have a history that's spicier than a 5-alarm fire. The side eyes, the shade, the subliminal shots, it's been a whole soap opera. Wendy has dragged the Kardashian momager on her show more times than I can count, calling her out for being this puppet master who supposedly controls everything and everyone around her, including her own children. But here's where things start getting seriously dark. Over the years, Wendy's health took a devastating turn, especially in 2023. She was diagnosed with something truly heartbreaking: frontotemporal dementia paired with progressive aphasia. This cruel condition left her struggling to manage her daily life, leading to her being placed under a court-ordered guardianship. But honey, let me tell you, many people are raising their perfectly groomed eyebrows at the timing of all this, especially given Wendy's history of exposing Hollywood's dirtiest secrets.
Lifetime producers witnessing low moments with excessive drinking, fits of anger,
Go! Drive! I have no idea where we are.
and bouts of incoherence.
Now, grab your pearls, because this is where Kris Jenner allegedly enters the picture. According to some very chatty insiders, and trust me, these sources are spilling everything, Wendy's guardianship wasn't just about protecting her health. The whispers in the corridors of power suggest that Kris Jenner might have pulled some very strategic strings, allegedly using her connections and influence to silence Wendy once and for all. Why? Well, darling, remember how Wendy had been coming for Kris and her family for years? But wait, it gets even more disturbing. The rumors suggest that the guardianship was just the beginning. There are absolutely chilling whispers that Wendy might have been poisoned to ensure her permanent silence. Some people are convinced that Wendy's rapid health decline wasn't entirely natural, and all fingers are pointing at Kris and her powerful network. I know, I'm clutching my chest too.
Our first caress.
Enter Kanye West, who's never been one to keep quiet about what he claims are Kris Jenner's behind-the-scenes manipulations. Honey, Kanye has been vocal about what he calls Kris's controlling nature. He's been putting her on blast in interviews and all over social media, calling her out for being manipulative. According to Kanye, Kris will supposedly do whatever it takes to protect her family's empire, even if it means taking extreme measures against anyone who dares to threaten it. In a recent interview that had everyone's jaws on the floor, Kanye dropped some major bombshells. He claimed that Kris Jenner's alleged involvement in Wendy's guardianship is just another example of what he calls her shady tactics. And given that Kanye's been feuding with Kris for years, he hinted that there's so much more to the story of Wendy's health decline than meets the eye. The plot thickens.
Once all of her kids abandon her, and
Now, let's take a walk down memory lane, and trust me, this path is darker than your ex's heart. Remember when Kanye West went on that wild, explosive rant about Hollywood handlers? He claimed they were trying to force him to take medications, control his every move, and institutionalize him just for speaking out. Well, darling, it seems our girl Wendy Williams might be caught in the exact same treacherous web. Wendy's loyal fans are absolutely buzzing with speculation, and honestly, can you blame them? Many are convinced that these same shadowy Hollywood handlers Kanye warned us else about are the ones pulling the strings behind Wendy's guardianship, and here's the tea that will make your blood run cold. There are whispers that these people might be trying to poison Wendy to completely destroy any chance of her recovery. I mean, can you even? The word on the street, and trust me, these streets talk, is that Wendy is basically being held hostage by the very people who orchestrated her financial guardianship. They've allegedly taken control of everything: her assets, her schedule, and worst of all, her freedom. Fans are theorizing that this so-called guardianship is just a smokescreen for something much more sinister, a plot to silence Wendy permanently. And here's where it gets even juicier. This new documentary about Wendy, some fans believe it's all part of their master plan. They think it's designed to paint Wendy as this unstable, out-of-control person who desperately needs a guardian. But honey, if you followed Wendy's story, you know this woman has always been a fighter, fearlessly calling out the industry's most powerful players without breaking a sweat. Could this all be an elaborate scheme to stop her from exposing even more secrets?
This documentary is hard to watch.
I know.
Very hard to watch.
Yeah. I said I wasn't gonna cry because I feel like I've cried enough over the last year and a half.
Now let's talk about Kanye's explosive allegations because, child, they are setting the internet on fire. Kanye claims that Hollywood's elite might be trying to silence Wendy because she's got enough tea to fill an ocean, and it's all about some very powerful people. The situation is eerily similar to what Kanye himself went through when his former personal trainer, Harley Pasternak, allegedly threatened to medicate him and have him institutionalized. Let's pause for a moment and remember just how insane that situation was. Kanye shared actual texts where Pasternak straight up said he'd have Kanye sent to a facility if he didn't behave. And the craziest part? The media just brushed it under the rug like it was nothing. Even more bizarre, Harley's career didn't seem to suffer one bit. And honey, Kanye isn't the only one who's allegedly been targeted by these so-called Hollywood handlers. The list reads like a who's who of Hollywood trauma. Dave Chappelle, Martin Lawrence, Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, Aaron Carter, and so many others have reportedly faced similar fates. They were allegedly coerced into taking medications they didn't need, controlled, and in some heartbreaking cases, silenced forever. If all of that doesn't break your heart into a million pieces, wait until you hear about Wendy's emotional confession. In a recent call with The Breakfast Club that had me in tears, Wendy revealed that her treatment under this conservatorship has been nothing short of cruel. They took away her beloved cats. Can you imagine the pain of losing your only companions? And it gets worse, darling. Wendy admitted she doesn't even know if she'll be allowed to attend her father's 94th birthday. This is a woman who spent her entire career being one of the most powerful voices in media, and now she's being denied the most basic freedoms, all under the guise of protection.
I'm exhausted thinking about what if I can't see my dad for his birthday? You know, at 94, the day after that is not promised. It's not promised.
Now let's talk about this Lifetime documentary on Wendy Williams because, honey, something isn't adding up. The documentary paints her as this hopeless case, right? But here's the gag. Just a few years ago, Wendy seemed to have it all together. Then suddenly, after she stood up to Wells Fargo and claimed there was some serious funny business going on, everything spiraled out of control. She was hit with a dementia diagnosis and slapped with a financial guardian who now controls every penny she has. Suspicious? Absolutely. And if that tea wasn't hot enough, wait until you hear this. Reports started surfacing about the judge overseeing Wendy's guardianship. Manhattan Judge Lisa Sattler, who appointed attorney Sabrina Morrissey as Wendy's financial guardian, was reportedly under investigation for taking bribes. According to WABC, she was being scrutinized for 6 whole months after being accused of accepting bribes from guardianship lawyers. Let that sink in, darling. The very judge who made key decisions in Wendy's case was allegedly caught up in corruption. Now let's talk about this timeline because it's messier than a breakup on reality TV. The news of Wendy's dementia diagnosis dropped just days after that Lifetime documentary aired on February 24th. But here's the real tea. Wells Fargo had already frozen Wendy's accounts 2 years before she officially received her dementia diagnosis. Back in 2022, Wells Fargo suddenly declared that Wendy couldn't handle her finances and ran to the New York Supreme Court begging for a temporary guardian to take control of her money. Of course, Wendy and her legal team weren't having any of it. They clapped back, accusing Wendy's former financial advisor, Lori Schiller, of feeding Wells Fargo false information about Wendy's mental state.
Which is Wells Fargo has decided to freeze her assets. Not because she was in type of criminal trouble, no, this froze her assets.
And get this juicy tidbit, Wendy only fired Lori after she allegedly discovered some shady activity in her accounts. It's giving revenge plot, honey. It's almost like Lori had a personal vendetta and decided to paint Wendy as incapacitated to get even. Wendy's lawyer even filed a temporary restraining order against Wells Fargo, arguing that the bank had no right to block Wendy from accessing her financial records. But here's where it gets even more twisted. The judge sided with Wells Fargo. By December 2022, attorney Sabrina Morrissey was appointed as Wendy's financial guardian. And just like that, Wendy lost control of her entire fortune. But our girl didn't stay quiet. Oh no, she publicly called out Lori Schiller and Wells Fargo, accusing them of scheming to put her under guardianship. And here's what's really making everyone's heads spin. If you've actually listened to Wendy talk during all this drama, she sounds sharp as a tack. No slurred speech, no confusion, nothing that would suggest she can't handle her own affairs. So why the guardianship? Make it make sense.
An attorney, her name is Roberta Kaplan. She spoke to TMZ and she said that people should not be fooled by Wendy Williams and how good Wendy Williams sounded when she called into her show yesterday.
Now, hold on to your wigs because this is where things take an even darker turn. Allegedly, Kris Jenner might have been the mastermind behind Wendy's guardianship. The whispers suggest that Kris used her powerful connections to pull strings, working alongside none other than Lou Taylor. For those who aren't in the know, Lou Taylor is practically synonymous with conservatorship scandals. She runs a conservatorship service and was heavily involved in Britney Spears' infamous case. Poor Britney endured over a decade under a conservatorship that she claims completely destroyed her life.
This is known gremlin Lou Taylor. You might know Lou from TriStar Entertainment, her management company that she owns, where she manages tons of celebrities.
Speaking of Britney's nightmare, she revealed something absolutely chilling in her explosive 2021 conservatorship hearing. During her time under her father, Jamie Spears' control, she was allegedly forced to take high doses of lithium, a mood-stabilizing drug that had devastating effects on her mental and physical health. Britney explained how the medication completely messed her up, leaving her unable to hold normal conversations and stripping away her autonomy. The plot thickens when we learn that Lou Taylor, Britney's family spokesperson, was allegedly the mastermind who first suggested the conservatorship to Jamie Spears back in 2008. And darling, Britney's fans have this wild theory that she was briefly taken off her medication in 2021 during that explosive court testimony, only to be silenced again when she mentioned wanting to do a tell-all interview.
I've been in the conservatorship for 13 years. It's a really long time to be in a situation you don't want to be in. So I'm just grateful, honestly, for each day.
I've been in the conservatorship for 13 years. It's a really long time to be in a situation you don't want to be in, so I'm just grateful, honestly, for each day. Now here's where it gets scary. The parallels between Britney and Wendy are absolutely chilling. Both powerful women suddenly deemed incapable after standing up to the powers that be, both sounding perfectly fine in interviews despite being labeled incapacitated. The math isn't mathing, honey.
In the Free Britney movement, you guys rock. Honestly, my voice was muted and threatened for so long, and I wasn't able to speak up.
Enter Kanye West, spilling piping hot tea about Kris Jenner's alleged puppet master behavior. And speaking of receipts, during his messy divorce from Kim, rumors flew that Kim and Lou Taylor were trying to put him under a conservatorship too.
I ain't never been back to the hospital since 2015, but every time they say I'm crazy, it's just when I'm saying the truth. So what's the crazy part, really?
The plot twist? Lou Taylor's company was deeply involved with the Kardashian-Jenner empire through various businesses like King Kylie LLC and KKW Fragrance. But mysteriously, right before Britney's freedom, Lou's name vanished from all their business filings. Coincidence? I think not. In one of his most explosive Twitter moments, Kanye claimed Kim and Kris tried to lock him up with a 5150 psychiatric hold, giving us major Britney vibes. The drama just never ends with these Hollywood power players, darling. Power players, darling.